Hi everyone, welcome back to today's lesson. My name is Miss Martinez. I'm so excited to see you guys back at third grade ELA. We are doing our part of a series I have with Miss Wendy. She taught the first two lessons of the week. What I want you to make sure before we start today's lesson is that you watched both videos so you understand where we are in the series. Make sure that you have a piece of paper, a pencil, or a pen, the outline that we previously had from Miss Wendy's previous lessons, and the passage, the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. Make sure that you have all of those in front of you. We're going to be writing and following along to the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. And lastly, again, please make sure that you watch the previous videos, and we are going to start our lesson. So I'm going to share the screen with you guys. All right. So, how to write an informative piece. This is part 3. So our goal for the day, I want to make sure that we are feeling comfortable with writing introduction paragraph. So I have a goal for the day, and it's I can take my main idea notes from the previous lesson and turn it into a starting paragraph. So make sure that you are feeling prepared and ready, that you know the passage. If you don't, make sure that you read it through a couple times so that way you feel confident and ready to start writing our informational essay. Great. So be proud of yourself. You're in third grade now. You're doing great so far. We are going to do a little bit of a difficult essay today. Again, we are going to be going at our own pace. If you feel a little bit overwhelmed, feel free to pause the video. And also, if you're feeling overwhelmed, we're learning together. Don't feel stressed out. You're super smart for even just watching. And let's start. So Miss Wendy had this essay writing helper, and it was a hamburger diagram. So I'm going to go through this again and break it down for you into the parts. So the top one is the introduction. It's the grabber statements. It's the thesis. It's just introducing background of what is going to be in the informational essay that you are writing. We are going to go in depth today on how to write that introduction paragraph. So next we have topic 1, and it typically includes 3 to 4 supporting points. So these are from the text that you're going to be taking. And so then we have topic 2, again, and includes 3 to 4 supporting points. Topic 3 includes 3 to 4 supporting points. And lastly, we have our conclusion, which is our summary of the thesis that we wrote before, and just a final statement of what was written. So again, you are your own writer, you're your own author of this essay. Make sure that you can, 1, follow along and just kind of get the main idea of how to write an informative essay, or you can write your own using the tips that are in this lesson. So the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. Miss Wendy went through this already, but if you want to, pause the video and read it through again. I'm going to read just the first paragraph just to kind of make you remember again what we read. So, far out in the northern part of the Pacific Ocean, there are waters where few ever cross. It's called the North Pacific Gyre. It is filled with an estimated 1.8 trillion pieces of garbage. This littered stretch of ocean is called the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. It is made up of debris or garbage such as old fishing gear, bottle caps, and plastic bottles. So, again, feel free to go back and read this if you don't feel comfortable moving forward to write a paper on this. So, my notes, this is what Miss Wendy noted as important parts of the text that should be in our paragraphs. So, let's start off and read them off. The Great Pacific Garbage Patch is filled with at least 1.8 trillion pieces of trash. It's located in the Pacific Rim. Plastic breaks down and becomes microplastic, never dissolves, It kills 1 million seabirds and 10,000 animals a year. It's very difficult to clean up without disturbing the wildlife. It's very expensive to clean up, and it's very time consuming to clean up. It takes 67 ships 1 year, and it's only 1% of the garbage patch that it cleans up, which is crazy. So now that we read through Miss Wendy's notes, let's see what she did with them. Okay, so what she did is she broke them up into paragraphs. So the first two are going to be in our introduction paragraph. These three right here in orange, that's going to be our second paragraph. And then the third one in yellow is going to be our third paragraph. And then lastly, our fourth paragraph that you write in the outline is the conclusion, which includes our thesis that we're going to write right now, and it includes just a final closing statement. So keep these in mind when we go in to write our introduction paragraph, how it's going to be broken down. Okay, so remember the two red are what are going to be in our introduction paragraph. So what is an introduction paragraph? What do we have to do for the day? Well, it's going to be that first part of the paper that you're writing. It's going to be the hamburger bun. And why is it there? Well, it's a way for the author to hook the reader or to tell them what they learned. So to hook the reader, it's there to tell the reader what they're going to be reading for that essay. Okay? Or an informational essay can also be about a book, about an informational book. So it could just be a way of the writer to tell them to read a book, a certain book. But today we're going to be focusing on writing an informational paper about the text that we read about the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. Okay, moving forward. So introduction, we introduced the problem of the Great Pacific Garbage Patch in the introduction. So why is the Great Pacific Garbage Patch a problem? Why should we care about it? Let's go back into our notes and figure out why can it be a problem and why should we care about it? So in the first two, we just talk about how it has 1.8 trillion pieces of trash and where it's located. Okay, I see a problem right off the bat of having 1.8 trillion pieces of trash in the ocean alone. Next, we talk about plastic in the ocean and what happens to it basically. So one, it never fully dissolves. It just goes into tinier and tinier pieces. And fish sometimes mistake it and eat it for food and it kills them. It can also kill 1 million seabirds and over 10,000 animals per year. So that's a problem, is it's endangering wildlife. Okay. And lastly, it's very difficult to clean up. It's expensive and it's time consuming. So do you see a problem there that we could write about? Do you see why we should care about it? If you see a problem, I want you to yell it out. Go for it. I'm hearing some answers. Good job, guys. So why do you see it as a problem? Well, I see it as a problem because it's affecting our wildlife. It's affecting our oceans. And that in turn affects us. And why should people care about it? Go ahead and shout out your answers. I'm hearing some really good answers. Well, why should we care about it? It's important to care about because it affects us in the future as well. And it affects animals. I'm going to turn on my camera really quick. Okay. So, turning my camera back on, we are moving forward. So again, introduction, why is it a problem? Why we should care about it. So starting with the problem, and we're going to be giving readers background information on it. So I'm going to start off with that sentence. The Great Pacific Garbage Patch is filled with at least 1.8 trillion pieces of trash. Your first sentence of your introduction paragraph should be the hook. You can have a question to start us off. You can just have a statement, or you can have facts. So I had the fact the Great Pacific Garbage Patch is filled with at least 1.8 trillion pieces of trash. And I hope that hooks the reader to be like, why does it have so much trash? Where is this? I want them thinking about what is going on. You can have a question. You can say, have you ever heard of the Great Pacific Garbage Patch? Or you can put, have you ever heard of a place having 1.8 trillion pieces of trash? Make sure hooking the reader. What I would do is write it and see if you would be interested in that piece. If not, I would have a different hook. Okay? So that first is, again, the hook, the grabber statement, and it shows the overall theme of the story. It cannot be something random. It can't just be like, do you like animals? Yes, there's a reference to animals in the story, but that's not the main idea and whole part of the story that we're reading about. So we have our hook. What would come next? Well, we're introducing the topic and giving more background. So you can have your own hook. I would right now start writing down your hook. You can, again, have your question. You can have that fact. Make sure you at least have one fact in your introduction. But you can start with that question, start with that fact, start with that statement to get the reader feeling excited to read your piece. So again, pause this if you need to take time to write it down on your piece of paper in front of you. So we have our hook. Now we're going to introduce some more background. So go back to your passage, grab some interesting facts. What I put is it's located in the Pacific Rim, and most of its trash comes from North America, South America, and Asia. So I used the other fact that Miss Wendy broke down, that it was located in the Pacific Rim. Notice how I didn't make it an awkward sentence by just saying the Great Pacific Garbage Patch is filled with at least 1.8 trillion pieces of trash located in the Pacific Rim. Notice how I made it my own and added my own voice to it. I said it is located, not just located in. So again, this part, the second part of our introduction paragraph, introduces the topic with some more background information. Awesome. Let's move forward to the next part. Lastly, for the introduction paragraph, we have to have a thesis statement. Now, what is a thesis statement? It is the summary of the main idea. It is what it tells us what we're going to see in the story. So let's go back to our notes. What are the main parts of our essay that we're going to have? The first two parts, we are talking about what is the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. It talks about how it's 1.8 trillion pieces of trash. Next, in our second part, which is going to be our second paragraph, we talk about plastic and its effects on the ocean and the animals around it. Lastly, in our third paragraph, we talk about how difficult it is to clean it up, how expensive it is, and how time-consuming. So now that we figured out the three parts, the background part, the effects on the ocean, and the difficulty of cleaning it up, what would you put for your thesis statement? Think about it. Taking these three parts. How I like to think of it as a writer is I like to think of it as three parts to one sentence. The three main topics of each paragraph that are listed. Okay? So think about your thesis. What are the main ideas of the essay that you're going to be presenting? All right. Again, feel free to pause the video if we're going too fast. But lastly, the summary of the main idea. So let's read what I have for my introduction paragraph. I put, the Great Pacific Garbage Patch is filled with at least 1.8 trillion pieces of trash. It is located in the Pacific Rim, most of its trash coming from North America, South America, and Asia. The Great Pacific Garbage Patch is contaminating the ocean and wildlife. Also, it's very difficult to clean up. So look at how I formatted that. I put that it's contaminating the ocean and wildlife, which is second paragraph, the main idea of that paragraph. And then I put 3, it's also very difficult to clean up. So again, feel free to interchange words, add your own voice, and make it your own. You can write that it is hurting the ocean and wildlife. You can put the specifics. You can put I put that it's just very difficult to clean up, but you could put, let's go to our notes. You can put that it's difficult, expensive, and time-consuming to clean up. You can add all 3 parts to that. Feel free, again, to make it your own. What I want you to do is to take this time to write your own introduction paragraph. You have your hook, you have your background, and you have your final sentence, your thesis statement. So I want to stay on the camera with you. I hope this isn't awkward, so to say, because I want to make sure that I'm voicing over what you should write. So again, have your pencil and paper in front of you. I'm going to take my video off. So have your hook. Make sure that you have, or I'll have my video on. Make sure that you have in your hook a fun fact, a statement, or a question. Okay? Have your passage in front of you. Next, have your background on whatever your fact was, what you're going to have for your paper. Okay? And lastly, have that thesis statement that overall tells the main idea of what you're writing about. All right? You guys are doing a great job. Do not stress about what you're writing. This is going to be part of our first draft. It's just the introduction. So don't stress too much. You got this. And again, go back and pause. You have your outline in front of you that I hope that you filled out. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the lesson. How are we feeling? Instead of doing thumbs up to the side and thumbs down, I want you to have your fist of 5. Fist is, I have no idea what's happening. Your 1 could be like, still kind of iffy. 2 is, I'm kind of getting there. 3 is, I'm kind of there. It's all right. I can figure out more though. 4 is feeling a lot better than average, but not quite there. And 5, I have the best introduction paragraph. I'm not worried about writing about my first draft. I'm feeling great. So you have those options. What will be your next steps if you're feeling this way? So your fist, I would highly recommend going back and watching this series. So I would start over, go to the first video of the week and see what you can do to feel more comfortable. You can go back and read the paper. You can go back and read just the first paragraph, go back and read your notes, review your outline. 1 and 2, you're still feeling uncomfortable, but you're a little bit better than not completely understanding. What I would do for you is go back and read the introduction paragraph that I wrote and see how you would change it to make it better, to make it your own voice. 3 and 4, you're feeling about average and a little bit above average. I would, again, write your own paragraph. Go back and see what you would change about mine, or don't even look at mine. Write your own. And 5, write your own. Start looking over how you can fix it and make it better. Look for any errors that you have. But other than that, great job. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. That was our lesson for the day. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Goodbye.